Renault will inject some much needed affordable fun into the developing market for electric vehicles in March 2012 with this. It's a two-seater city car and it's called the Twizy. Now this one is a prototype, so it's not finished, but it's close enough to the production car to give us an idea of what to expect. A top speed of 47 miles an hour doesn't promise very much, but it's amazing how much fun this Twizy is. It's kind of like an anti-scooter. So in a scooter you twist the throttle, you get lots of noise, lots of transmission slip, you don't really go anywhere, whereas in the Twizy you get 42 pounds-foot of torque straight away, and that makes this car actually quite fast away from a standstill and a real fun car to drive. It weighs 450 kilograms, but it's a bit like a miniature double-decker bus. It looks tall, but all the mass is concentrated low down, so the car actually corners much better than it looks like it should. So Renault's laid out a little obstacle course for the Twizy here, and to be fair, the car handles it very well. If I look a little bit busy at the wheel, it's because the Twizy's steering is perhaps a little bit slower than you expect it to be. And that's because it's unassisted. So they have to make it slow to take the weight out of the wheel. But the car picks up really quickly, as you can see. Stops really well. And here you can see the advantage of a 7-metre turning circle. That's a full metre smaller than a Toyota IQ. And that just makes it a little bit easier to negotiate junctions and corners in town, and just makes it a bit more fun to drive, really. Lithium-ion batteries give the Twizy a range of about 60 miles. Unlike an electric scooter, however, it does have regenerative braking, which means it can do up to 70 miles in exclusively urban use. Better still, an 80% charge takes just 3 hours from a regular mains plug, which makes on-street charging a more viable option with the Twizy than it is with many other EVs. So this is the production version of the Twizy. It's certainly small, as you can see, just 2.3 metres long, which makes it 40 centimetres shorter than a Smart 4.2. It's also just a metre wide, so you can thread it through gaps in city traffic. Even though it's small, it's quite practical. There are 2 decent-sized glove boxes at the front for your odds and ends, and at the back there's 2 large storage cubbies, so there's enough room for a laptop case or some shopping just under that rear seat. And talking of rear seats, it's big enough for an adult. I was sitting back there earlier on, and I'm 6'3", so this is a proper 2-seater, not just a 1+1. Renault UK has yet to confirm a final price for the Twizy, but expect it to cost around about £7,000. There'll also be a monthly lease cost for the Twizy's battery, and that should set you back around about £50 a month. Unfortunately, you won't get a government discount for the Twizy because it's classed as a heavy quadricycle and not a proper car. But even without a government discount, this is still a well-priced city car. City cars often just feel like low-rent super minis, but the Twizy's a real breath of fresh air. It's not just a quirky little EV, it's a car with real enthusiast appeal too. And it's all the more appealing and desirable and fit for purpose in the city for being electric.
It's certainly a head-turner. Whizzing around the streets of Berlin, this is the e-rocket. Half bicycle, half motorbike, Stefan Gulas has been working on his invention for the past 4 years.
It's a motorbike, and in a certain sense it's also a bicycle, because the motorbike works as a bicycle, so you have to pedal in order to travel forwards. The pedals act as a type of accelerator, so you don't have an accelerator on the handbars, but you have to pedal, and the quicker you pedal, the faster the motor goes.
And this pedalling also charges up the bike's battery. Gulas is convinced the e-rocket, which can travel up to 80 kilometers or almost 50 miles an hour, is a transport revolution.
The thing I'm most proud of is that we've managed to make a cool electric vehicle. There are lots of vehicles with petrol engines that are cool. You just do need to go and take a look at them. Ducatis or cars like Porsches and Ferraris. They are cool vehicles, but they all have petrol engines.
The bike may have the looks, but it seems people don't quite know what to make of it.
From the speed, I'd say it's a motorbike, but he pedals it, so it's a push bike. So it's a bicycle, but amazing thing, absolutely amazing. I want one.
The others who want one should be prepared to dig deep into their pockets. An e-rocket costs €30,000 or around 44,000 US dollars, and customers have to put down €25,000 when they place an order. For his part, Gula says he expects the bike will appeal to creative, successful people.
Evacuated tube transport uses airless vacuum tubes, which move faster and use less energy to travel between destinations. 6-person capsules travel in the tubes on frictionless maglev tracks and can reach a maximum speed of 6,500 km per hour. It produces a maximum of 1 G of force at top speed. Passengers would not experience any discomfort. Evacuated tubes can be built for 1/10 the cost of a high-speed rail system and 1/4 the cost of a freeway. The tubes could travel from New York to LA in 45 minutes and from New York to China in just 2 hours.
I believe that this nation should commit itself to achieving the goal before this decade is out of landing a man on the moon and returning him safely to the earth.
The bold move of putting mankind on the moon created vast wealth and prosperity for the United States. U.S. intellectual property value now exceeds our tangible asset worth. Although manufacturing is shifting to Asia, half of global IP licensing income flows to the U.S. Evacuated tube transport is efficiency-improving technology that has benefits far exceeding what NASA created during the 1960s and 70s. Because of exorbitant costs, only a few astronauts ever experienced frictionless travel in orbit. By contrast, ETT will offer an enormous benefit of frictionless space travel on Earth for everyone to enjoy at any time. The value of ETT will dwarf the wealth that NASA-inspired IP and hardware created. The first nations to leverage ETT will trigger and ride a wave of unprecedented global prosperity. ETT will eliminate oil reliance, enhance global security, green the earth, invigorate stagnant industries, and net millions of high-paying jobs. Most importantly, ETT will stimulate the global economy by availing an extremely high return on investments for companies who build it. ETT is a patented technology where travel occurs without air resistance or rolling resistance. ETT can accomplish 50 times more transportation per kilowatt hour than electric cars or trains. ETT is silent, ultra-safe, faster than jets, and is powered by electricity. Air is permanently removed from 2 5-foot diameter tubes built along a travel route. ETT is not pneumatic tube transport commonly used at drive-up banks. Car-sized passenger or cargo capsules travel in the tubes on frictionless magnetic levitation. Airlocks at stations allow transfer without admitting air. Linear motors safely accelerate the capsules. For most of the trip, they coast through the vacuum without using any additional energy. Acceleration energy is recovered at the end of the trip by using linear generators to decelerate the capsules. ETT will eventually serve most homes. ETT is networked like freeways. The capsules are automatically routed like internet traffic, yet a capsule can exit the system at any desired branch. Speeds of 350 miles per hour for in-state use will develop to 4,000 miles per hour for cross-country. That means New York to LA in 45 minutes, or New York to Beijing, China in just 2 hours. Empty ETT capsules weigh 400 pounds, yet can accommodate 6 people or 3 pallets of cargo. Guideways to support ETT capsules require 1/20th the material needed to support trains. Material efficiency and automated production will drop cost to less than 1/10 that of a high-speed rail, or 1/4 as much as a freeway. Automated switching allows 350 mile-per-hour ETT routes to exceed the capacity of a 32-lane freeway. ETT value will produce ROI high enough to guarantee private investment. ETT benefits will compound for generations. Collectively, companies have invested billions developing ETT, though most are yet unaware of it. For instance, many companies currently produce the hardware and software necessary to build and automate ETT. The technology is owned by ET3.com Incorporated, an open and growing consortium of licensees. These companies and individuals collectively network and leverage their assets to implement, manage, and improve ETT. Private investment of $500 billion in optimally placed ETT routes will displace up to half of U.S. transportation. The manifold annual return on this investment will include a direct savings of $1.4 trillion, time savings of $625 billion, environmental benefits over $200 billion, security benefits of $70 billion, and 20,000 lives saved annually from automobile accidents. This totals almost $2.3 trillion per year. Secondary benefits include economic expansion, better distribution of commodities, improved global standard of living, real estate value appreciation, and accessibility to education and markets, to mention only a few. Building a 14,500-mile ETT backbone from New York to London via Alaska, China, India, and Europe for less than $1 trillion would capture 10% of the $8.5 trillion global transportation pie by connecting major population and production centers. Traveling from New York City to Beijing in 2 hours on ETT with a comparable fare to flying would yield 90% profit margin. This allows greatly reduced transportation cost. In less than a generation, the expansion of the ETT network could capture a majority of Earth's transportation, with potential to grow to over $30 trillion per year present value. China recognizes the immense value of ETT and holds a 5-year advantage over the U.S. in its implementation. Instead of waiting for others, we have a patriotic duty to leverage our advantage on intellectual property and be the first nation to commercialize ETT, leading the world out of the present global economic crisis. We can boldly create unprecedented environmental, social, and economic returns through ETT. This will usher in an age of global prosperity for many generations. The United States will enjoy enormous profits by providing transportation, just like Saudi Arabia sells oil. Find out more and get involved in creating the shift to ETT at www.et3.com. Thanks for watching.
And so, my fellow Americans, ask not what your country can do for you, ask what you can do for your country. My fellow citizens of the world, ask not what America will do for you, but what together we can do for the freedom of man.